Hello, how are you? Welcome to this conversation. This is Soft Skills Conversations. And today we have my good friend, Geoffrey Semaganda. Now, at Soft Skills Conversations, we try to have conversations with industry experts. We try to keep this informal but informative. So there is no script. You and I are just having a conversation, and let's see where this goes. The title of our discussion this morning is expert positioning. Now, I could say a lot of things about Geoffrey. I could go through his profile. I have it in front of me. But I think it's more useful I just tell you who Geoffrey is. Now, a lot of people have had me say, when I get the question, how did I get into the speaking business? How did I used to start to write books? I often mention that at one point I was in a job I hated, and I went for a conference. A conference came to Nairobi from England, and they were doing something called Wealth Creation Conference, and I had never heard of anything like that in my life. And when I attended, they offered up different trainings, real estate, investment, and all of that. And right in there, there was a speaker's course. Now, I was not aware of a career of a speaker outside of preaching. And I remember thinking to myself, could I do speaking? And I signed up for that course. Now, I have talked about this a lot of times. Now, in front of you is a gentleman who opened me up to the speaking business, the whole business of training and writing books and all of that I have been in the last about 15 years. Geoffrey, let me publicly say thank you very much. You completely changed my life. I owe you for a lifetime. I completely owe you for a lifetime. So thank you so much for making the time to have this conversation.
Well, Christine, I would say thank you because you're one of the few people in Nairobi actually validated that actually people in Kenya or in Africa can actually be serious about this subject, because in those days, it was, I remember the first time I came across personal development in the UK, I went to see Tony Robbins. I was like 16 years old. And when we told people that we were going to see Tony Robbins, the first time Tony Robbins came to London, and it felt, they used to call us people in this, what do you call it, cult of some kind. So it was known as a cult because the British people were not into motivation, this kind of happy, you are right talking. They were not interested in that. They called these American people, they really recruiting you into a cult. So you're one of the few people actually really made me understand that the region or the continent has been ready for a long time for this message, because you are always, one thing about you, Christine, you're always smiling. I mean, I remember you sitting at the front and I kept looking at you because you made my life so easy. So it's been like that. And I'm so proud that you're still doing this. Other people giving it up, they're doing complete things differently. I don't know why, but it is what it is. So thank you, because it's not about me, it's about you, because you actually took that message. One of the few people took that message and used it.
Oh, beautiful. I like the expression that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I was also not exposed to personal development when I first met you. I had read a few books, but I was, kind of fumbling in the dark. And it was meeting with you guys that made me, kind of get aligned and kind of learn where my place is and what can I do, because I have been opening and closing businesses in all sorts of areas, and I had really not found what am I good at. And so this really brought direction into my life. So I think that's beautiful. But I like that you mentioned, because in the entire program, we were about 300 at least. Yeah. And I'm only aware of 2 of us who wrote a book. So it's not a lot of people who will follow with what we are doing. So it's kind of discouraging. Now, you were mentioning this before we started the recording. One of my principles in life is I like to stay teachable. And in one of your YouTube tutorials, you said something that every house you've been in that's worth at least £1 million has a home office. Now, you said this before the entire COVID shenanigan. And I said, oh, I need to have a home office. You're looking at my home office. I've had this office so that now when we went into shutdown and everything, I was like, oh, I'm so glad Geoffrey taught me to have a home office, because now I'm able to operate in my home office. So once again, thank you. Now, I wanted us to have a discussion along the areas of possibly I have lost my job or not, but at the end of the day, life as we knew it has changed. So what are some of the very practical things that someone can do to position themselves to win? let's take the example for the argument, for the sake of this discussion. Let's talk about an accountant. I work in an office. I've worked in an office all my life. I am trained in finance. That's what I know. That's the only thing I know how to do. What kind of advice can we give this person to position themselves as an expert going forward? And just so we confirm, you are an African and you're giving this an African perspective?
Yeah.
All right, because I don't want this to be, something that works way out there in London. I want us to keep this East African. I want to be able to relate to people who look and sound like me.
Okay, first of all, the comment you made about having a home office, it's not just a home office. Every house worth $1 million, in those days, used to be £1 million. Now, the £1 million house could be a single flat in London. But let's say a house worth more than £1 million and above, £2 million and above, there's a library in that house as well as a home office. So before it used to be a library, there's no home worth millions of dollars when there isn't a library in the house. That's the first thing. But in that particular house, all those houses, they build a study room or a home office. It's always part of the setup of any house. Now, let me also kind of clarify the point you're making. Is this work for Africa? Is this work for Europe? You see, there's one thing I know about Africa. We don't make very much. We buy things in dollars. And and you tend to find that it's more expensive for me, because I got locked in Uganda. It's more expensive for me to be in Uganda than it is to be in London. I'm spending $150 for my fiber optic connection in the studio where I am. $150 a month. I pay £25 for that in London.
Okay.
So first of all, it's expensive here. The reason I'm saying that is that if you are applying as somebody who lives in Kenya or in Uganda, in Africa, then you can never meet the financial security that you're looking for, because you're thinking that you're operating in Kenyan shillings or Ugandan shillings. You're operating in US dollars only, and this is the only way to survive. So if you're operating in US dollars, then you have to think as if you live in the United States. Why? Because you have to be competing with the guy in the US. Why? Because the person buying from you in Kenya is actually comparing you with somebody in the US. So you have to compete on international standard, period. Otherwise, forget it, give it up. Okay, but let's go back in practicality, break it down. If you've been in a job, really thank COVID. If you have not figured out over the years that you never had a job. There's this illusion people have in their heads that they have a job, that the job is security. There's no such a thing. The company or the person you work for, they have no idea of what's going to happen tomorrow. They just walk by faith. They keep making you believe they have the answers. They don't. You work for yourself. You work for you. You never work for anyone else. And if you're not operating like that, thank God you lost your job, or thank God COVID is here to wake you up to understand that you work for you, providing a service in a company. You get paid based on the value you bring to the company. So from day one, you should have understood you have a stock value, your company value at a certain level. Some people in your company get paid more, others get paid less, because your stock value is exactly what you get paid. And remember, when you work for somebody, they pay you 10% of how much you're worth. Remember, they only pay you 10% of how much you're worth if you work for someone else, because they cannot afford to pay you more.
Say that, run that by me again, Geoffrey.
When you work for anybody,
10%?
They pay you 10% of how much you're worth.
Okay.
When you work for someone else.
Yes. So if I'm making
you don't get paid anymore.
Okay.
So if you understood that,
I could make the other 90% if I was working for myself. Is that what you're saying?
No, you'll increase that to around 20-30%.
Okay.
Meaning you double your income or triple your income day one. But the reason why you can increase that to 50%, because when you work for yourself, there's other things come into play. Taxes, write-offs, opportunities, standing up, stock value, development, all that. We come back to those in a second. But let's go back to the point you're trying to make. You lost your job a long time ago, so don't think you had a job before. Thank God you know that now. Now, in order for you to wherever you are, you need to raise your stock value. How do you raise your stock value? Company stocks goes up when the company tells us who they are, what they do, what they believe in, where they're going, how much value they're adding, how much impact they're going to make, how long they're going to be here, how much income they're going to create for us. By giving us this ridiculous, crazy idea, projection, they don't even know what's going to happen, we raise their stock value, only what they've told us. So if you are a stock value as a company, why on earth would you be alive and you have not learned to tell us who you are, what you believe in, what you stand for, where you're going, how much money you get, so you can raise your stock value, so we think of you as a Coca-Cola of this world, a Microsoft of this world. You have to be that person to let us know. Now, how do you do that if you have not thought about yourself and understand you're not an accountant? You're somebody who solves problems for us. We don't look for an accountant. We're looking for somebody that's going to help us solve those problems. But how do we know you are the person we can trust because you spend more money, more time investing in you to help me solve my problem? If you don't tell me, then your stock value never go up. So you might as well stay in a job because the 10% stops you from worrying about when the next sale is going to come from. You basically eluded yourself. You're going to basically get there, but when you're never going to. So my point here is that you never had a job. Thank God you're woken up. But secondly, if you're going to work for yourself or you're going to prepare yourself for tomorrow, even if you have a job today, just think you work for yourself. So you raise your stock value, and the only way you can raise your stock value is educate the marketplace who you are, what you believe in, what you stand for, where you're going, how you're going there, how you can help us, how you can make us better so you can be better. That is how you raise your stock value.
Wow. All right. Now, you said something about raising stock value, and I want us to borrow that idea of raising stock value and bring it to an individual. So what are practical things I can do? I am in Nairobi, you just let me know that I don't have a job, or if I do have a job, it's paying me only 10% of what I'm worth. What are practical things I can do to make the market aware of who I am, to raise my personal value?
You see, the shocking thing for me, especially in Africa, that people spend every single dollar they can find to get themselves a degree. You know, it's only on the African continent where everyone want to be called a doctor. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine and I forgot to call him professor. I was like, Geoffrey, I'm not doctor, professor.
They return mail.
They just
return mail, Geoffrey. They return mail. If Dr. Semaganda's mail arrives and doesn't say Dr. Professor Semaganda, it's returned.
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You know, and these people need to be educated, that the education that you have, it has no value. It has a value to you. Your name is great for you. You're a professor, good for you. But I don't give a monkey who you are. You're a professor, you're a doctor. You have no value to me if you don't tell me what you do. You see, I coach professors, I train professors, I write for professors, and I didn't go to school that they did, but because I know what makes their profession, whatever they know, add more value to the market. So practicality is simple. I know you should be a professor. Of course, you spend too much money at it. You definitely defend your professor title and your doctor title. I completely agree. But remember, we don't care. We only care about what you do for us. Now, in order for us to understand what you do, you need to tell us exactly. You see, I went to Les Brown. I was the first company to bring Les Brown to the UK in 2004. Les Brown has never been to the UK as a speaker before. Now, he invited me to go and see Mark Victor Hansen, co-founder of Chicken Soup for the Soul. And Mark invited me to get on stage. He interviewed me on stage, talking about, he asked me my story because Les told him about my story. So Mark interviewed me on stage. These are 2,000 people in the room, paid $2,000 to be in this room. These people make more money than I make, some of the best experts in the game. He interviewed me. I told him how I was working from the age of 9, grew up during the war and so on and so forth, and have a youth program, a water program. And when we finished, people stood up and gave me a standing ovation, and people lined up to take pictures with me. So I went to Mark's room and knocked on his hotel room because he was staying next door to me. I said, Mark, help me understand because I'm missing something. Yesterday, I gave a 45-minute speech on how to make money in Europe as a speaker, because I bring you guys to New York to speak. And that's the reason I went to the US, because I wanted to bring Mark Victor Hansen to the UK. Okay. And But why? Yesterday, nobody gave me standing ovation. Nobody lined up to take pictures with me. Nobody really cared that much. But why is it by me telling a story that I don't want to tell? Because I don't want to tell people I was on the street in Kampala, you know, fixing cars at the age of 11, 12. And I don't want to tell people that kind of stuff. How is it that now people stood up, gave me a standing ovation, they want to take pictures with me, they want to know me? You just set up a water program. I partnered with Mark Victor Hansen to help to raise money to create water projects in Africa on that particular, standing on that stage. I said, why? He said, Geoffrey, people don't know you if they don't know your story. And if people don't know your story, they're never going to trust you. And if they don't trust you, they're never going to do business with you. I said, thank you. I shook his hand and I left the room. And that's the day I say, whoa, hold on. You know, when I met you, I was talking about writing books.
Yes, you are.
But it wasn't as clear until that day.
Okay.
Until that day, we launched 5 business ideas with Mark on that day, including his water program. Because I told my story. Because people understood that we can work with someone else, but this little guy here, he seemed to have that what it takes, because he started at a younger age. He doesn't seem to give up. He's simply passionate about what he believes in. Maybe other people didn't like me. I don't like them neither. But those who actually could relate to me, we got close and we started business together. Point is, the basic and the starting point of raising your stock value, you need to document who you are. I just been doing an interview with someone earlier, and she asked me, if you go back to be 10 years old, what would you tell yourself? I said, I'll tell myself that I will document every 10 years of my life. It will be documented in the form of a book. Why a book? Because it's the only document, basically, you have to follow certain structures. Those certain structures answer some questions. It's like having a business plan for your life for that particular time. You tell the world who you are, what you believe, what you stand for, and you have to live up to those standards, because when you tell the world you don't drink, you should never been seen drinking. If you tell the world, I'm always looking good, you'd never, ever be there looking shabby. If you tell the world, but if you don't tell the world who you are, you can be anything. That's what the problem with most people. They are anything. Today, you find them drunk. The other day, you told them, find him speaking. The other day, you told him, call himself a professor. The other day, listen, you are nobody if you don't tell us who you are. That's why you can never be a president of any decent country if you have not written a book. You never be a CEO of a top 500 companies around the world if you've not written a book, because people don't know you. They cannot do business with you. Right now, if you're surviving without teaching the world who you are, you just surviving. You already lost your business. You lost your job. They haven't told yet. And COVID, now people now learning this way. You're going to find out the hard way that you've been out of business a long time ago. You just didn't realize it yet. So starting point, please tell us who you are. Every 10 years of your life, you write a book. If you're 10, a book should be written. If you're 22 books, 33 books, you get the picture. If you're 55 books, why? Because if you can't tell us what you've been, then how can we raise your stock value? Listen, Christine, if you don't tell me what you did 10 years ago, I cannot raise your value. I'm considering you like a 20-year-old, just started.
Okay.
But if you tell me what you did in your teenage years, in 20s, 30s, all of a sudden, I'm like, this is not the same kid as I've been thinking of. Value goes up. In 20s, you failed as many times. Value goes up. Value goes up. Value goes up, and the more your value goes up in my head, the more now you made me a billboard marketer for you. Because every time somebody mentions something you do, I think of you. Listen, if you're a mechanic, and we're at the party, and a friend of mine come later and say, my car broke down. Whom am I thinking of? You, provided you've been educating me every single week or every single month, sending me a video or an audio or some kind of a blog or something tells me how to get the most out of my car, then I'm thinking about you. But if you're a mechanic, you don't communicate with me ever, I forget about you. Why should I remember you? So the key is when you create a document, as we call this concept, we call this positioning. When you tell people who you are, what you do, how you do it, and where you're going, even if you make mistakes. You know, Christine, I made a zillion mistakes. You know, but I go back to the same people I make mistakes to, and I say, hey, guess what? We lost 100,000 last week. How about another 200? Okay, hey, you know what? You know, because I want them to understand that if I lost your money before, don't let it be lost, because if you don't invest more in me, then that is gone. But I'm going to use those lessons I've learned to make you money next time. If you stop because you are like these people who really didn't go to soft skills training to understand that the only way you grow in life is by failing as many times as possible. You show me somebody who doesn't fail, and I show you somebody who never go anywhere. You show me somebody who failed as many times, I show somebody going somewhere. When I was watching yesterday the Michael Jordan. If you haven't watched it, please watch it. I mean, it's incredible. Netflix.
Oh, I'm actually my daughter's watching that. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it.
You watch it, because it will blow you away how somebody can be committed to win and they take no prisoner, but can still be a nice guy. But the same way, people don't like you because you do. You know how many people wrote bad things about Steve Jobs? Because he was focused. He didn't take nonsense. So the point I'm trying to make is that if you basically understand that by focusing and understanding failing is actually, you fail your way to success, you know, you fail your way to greatness, and that's how it is. And the reason I mentioned about Michael Jordan is that the film, what it didn't do, he removed so many failures. Michael Jordan did more attempts to that basket than anyone else in the game. Okay, but they failed to actually acknowledge that. Even though in some clip they show him basically missing as many baskets, but he'll be out there every single day. That applies every single person ever succeeded in life. So point we're trying to make here, we need to teach people things they should be teaching in schools. The failing is good. We support, that's how we learn. When your child starts to walk, you don't tell your child, stop walking, for goodness sake, you're gonna bust your lips, give it up. No, we let them try until they
fall. Yes, yes. I learned something recently which said, I will until. Yeah. So you fail as many times as you want, but you do not stop until. Now,
absolutely.
I've taken so many notes as you were talking. I like the way you told about telling your story. What would you say to someone who says that, but in Africa, we don't read books. People don't read books in Africa.
Because that person
Why
hasn't traveled.
Become a writer if the market.
Because that person, my darling, has not traveled. He lives in Kenya, never left the country before.
Okay, okay. So
when I went to the UK,
is not supposed to be Nairobi at all.
Let me give you an example. I went to the UK, and I as a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, I'm trying to find solutions. And I was 16, I was told that, by the way, anything you want to learn, somebody written a book about it, okay? And I asked this person, then books must be expensive. He said, no, actually the books are free. I said, what do you mean they're free? There's a library in every single town. And I know there was a library I usually pass when I'm going to, you know, to work.
Work, yes.
I said, you mean the libraries, they're full of books? He said, yes. And I said, they're free, yes. I'm like, I'm gonna get there first thing in the morning because I'm sure it's packed. So I got up in the morning, 7:30, I got there, the library was not open until 9. So the library open, I go into this place, and I see there's no queue. There's nobody there. To tell the truth, this is a huge library, 2 stories, there's only 3 people around that time. So I went to the librarian and I said, listen, what's going on? How come nobody's here? She looked at me like I'm drugged.
Like you're out of space, yes.
She asked me, where are you from? I said, from Uganda. She said, honey, people don't come to read books. I said, what? I said, you mean, but how much do you charge? She says, free. So I said, the library is free. You just need to register and you can borrow, but then you can even borrow up to 10 books and take them home and bring them back. Or you can sit there and read from there. And it's free. Yes, even the printing is free. Even though typing was free. But nobody comes here? Yes. I went to research. Only 3% of the entire people in the UK and the United States actually owns a library card, which is free.
I can relate with that because
nobody reads, my darling. People only read when they're looking for information. So when people use those words, people in Africa don't read. No, not because people don't read. You don't read. That's why you think everybody doesn't read. Because how dare you saying that you got where you are, by reading, but you're so special, you're so different, you're so important that other people are so dumb and stupid, they can't read, but you manage to read. That, no, 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 no. You got to change your perception, thinking that if you manage to get information from a book, don't think you're that special. There are so many people like you who also reading. The question is, they can't find your book when they're looking for it.
That I can relate with that, because whenever I've published a book, I have sent a copy to the Kenya National Libraries. A lot of people may not be aware of that, but we have a huge library in Nairobi. We have several libraries actually. And like you're saying, there's a lot of information. And now we're in the Google age. You can learn a lot just from your phone. There is so much you can learn without ever having to put down your phone. So there's a lot. Now, what people are dealing with right now, Geoffrey, is discouragement. People are very low. What would you say to somebody who says, my spirits are very low at this point? I'm feeling discouraged, I'm depressed, I don't know what to do next. What would you say to that?
I'm the wrong person to ask that question, Christine, because my answer, people won't like to hear it. What the hell are you talking about? You know, my answer to people like that what's the poison in Kenya that kills people? Do you have a poison that kills? Right. Find one, recommend them to go and take it. You know, the point I'm trying to make is that, listen. If you're discouraged, please visit a hospital. You see, so many people, they think these kind of problems, they're unique or special gifts designed for them. We all have them. Everybody has them. If you feel depressed, go and volunteer in hospital and go and see somebody who just about survived for just a little breath, just the ability to breathe. They say, thank you, God, I'm breathing. Go look at the people go through. You know, people, they live in their comfort. They have everything they have. Their kids are breathing. They're talking. They're smiling. You have your health. And you sit there complaining. You're depressed. You're giving up. Give up. I don't care. It's your life. I'm looking for somebody who be reminded that, listen, if you have the ability to watch this, it means you have internet, many African will never have access to.
Yes, yes.
So please, I'm not going to talk to you, oh, please believe. No. That's nonsense. Listen, you only have one life to live. In case you have forgotten, the average individual lives about 75 years old. We can live longer. Some people live 100. That borrowed time. But you know how many days in 75 years? You know how many days, Christine?
75 times 365?
No, on top of your head, how many did you think? Well, 10,000, 100,000, 200,000 days?
100,000, I don't know. Off the top
you would think so, wouldn't you?
Yes.
75 years is 27,300 days. 27,000 days. Not 100,000 days, 27,000 days.
Oh, yes. There's fewer than we thought.
It's crazy. It's just over 650,000 hours. It's over 40 million minutes. It's not that long.
No, so it isn't. It's very short.
Whining and complaining about your life. It's your choice, but I'm not wasting my time. I'm looking for the person to say, you know what? I've given a chance to wake up today because I could have, some of you didn't wake up last week. Let me get up and figure something out. Listen, people are depressed because they have nothing to do. But when you tell the world what you believe in, what you stand for, what you do, they actually ask you for questions. When they ask you for answers, you have no choice to look for them. You have no time to be depressed because you're too busy thinking for other people. You're busy. Honey, in this COVID, if nobody's calling you, asking you for help, then you've been in trouble a long time ago. If you're not volunteering to be in part of these task forces, helping out people or mother or women or people like that you say who want to give up, if nobody's asking you for help in these hard times, that means you've been completely useless to the marketplace. Right now, the important people, they're so busy than ever before. You call those professors who tell you the important, they're busy right now. You call a doctor a businessman, everybody's busy trying to think for those people who are not thinking. So you ask that person who basically tell you they want to give up. Tell them, are you a leader or a follower? If you're a follower, go to someone else. I'm not looking for leaders. But don't make everybody be a leader because nobody wants, not everybody is going to be a leader. Supposed to be. So it's okay for them to be whatever they want to be. But let me finish on that particular question by saying, please, if you're depressed, visit a hospital. You come back. I know exactly what's going on. If you're depressed, yes, call Christine to help you. But I want Christine to tell you one thing. She cannot make you do anything apart from helping you. Remember and realize who you are, what you believe in, what you stand for, who you can help, how you can help them. When you put that thing in that order, all you need to do to remember who you want to help and why you're helping that person. That forces you to grow. I'm so busy learning and reading and researching. And yesterday I spent over, I don't know, $3,000 buying software I'm never going to use. I'm just want to test them how they work. You know, just to test something. I don't have the time. People say, Geoffrey, you have time, you should be, because we're in quarantine. I said, listen, every single place I am, I have a studio. I'm in Dubai, I have a little studio there. I'm in London, I have a studio. I'm in US, I have a studio. Everywhere I have to have my setup. So when do I get the time to whine and complain? Because they're going to have to come a time when I don't have the energy that I have today. You know, one thing Michael Jordan said, he said that I used my youth years wisely. I got the most out of my youth years. If you still have whatever little youth left in you, if you're 70, you still have energy, use every ounce of that and don't take it down with you. That applies to your knowledge as well. You can't be depressed because you could be dead or you could be sick. And if you're sick, you're still breathing. And you're still breathing, something else, because someone else, the line ahead of you is shorter than the line behind you. So be grateful, and that's a starting point.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm getting a lot of energy just listening to you. Now, I actually read a statistic this morning that just startled me. I remembered it when you were talking, that in the last 2 years in our country, 90% of the people who finished their O levels got D+. In other words, the system just labeled them failures. What would you say to somebody whose thought line is, I didn't do well academically, I don't have all of these degrees? Because that's a big deal in our economy.
Fantastic. Good for you. Good for you. Because this is a challenge we face, and I don't want to make anyone feel better, worse than others. If you're smart, good for you. You're going to get a job. You can use that smart two ways. You can either be smart and work for someone else, or be smart, work for yourself. But when you're not that smart, your future is completely lined up so easily. Why? You don't have to figure it out yourself. You just need to employ the smart people to work for you. The most successful people on the planet, the day they realized what they're good at, they stopped wasting their time in school and went ahead and did it. See, when we teach financial education for teens and their parents, what shocks me is this. If you want your child to go into sport, you want them to start as early as possible. Yes. You teach them, you send them to these little extra classes to learn to run or to sing or to dance, whatever, to sing, whatever that is, as early as possible. But when it comes to money and how they're going to grow, something's going to dominate their life forever. We don't teach them that when they're 5 years old, when they're 10 years old. So the answer to the education system, please, that education system, you have to go through it, because what else are you going to do when you are, a teenage child and you're under your parents' roof? Success is about being wherever you are, be there. Okay. If you're in school, be in school. If you're out of school, whatever you do, do it. If we are talking, we should be here talking. If you're out there playing, let's play, but don't be in two different places at one time. So the answer is, you finish school. Now you think you failed, but you didn't, because you finished that school. The grades don't count. And then your job is to figure out, what is it that you are going to do? That's why it comes down to that particular point. What is it that I'm good at? And even if you don't know what you're good at, because some kids don't know, just get a piece of paper and write down the lifestyle you want to have. This is one thing we don't teach young people. Just write down the lifestyle you want to have. Just have that vision board. People use that word, vision board. Just write down everything you want to have, the car you want to drive, the places you want to live, the girlfriend the wife you want to have, the children and the way they should go, everything you want to have. By having that lifestyle mapped out, then ask yourself a question. How much money do you need to make to achieve that lifestyle? Now, it's going to tell you $500,000 or $250,000, whatever the number is. And then that will eliminate everything the school told you needed to do. Because the school never told you to be a millionaire. It told you to get a job. Most jobs pay under $100,000. Yes. So why care? Now all of a sudden your lifestyle is bigger than what the school told you. Now the only way to achieve that lifestyle is to become a businessman, a businesswoman, a person going to solve problems, or somebody going to get a job to go and create their own thing. Now to do that, All you need to know is that how can I get the smartest people to come and help me achieve that? You see, when I went to the UK, my story very clear. I found out it was much harder for me to get a job because you needed a piece of paper to allow you to work called the work permit in the UK, in the US, a green card. But when you wanted to register a company, nobody asked you anything, Christine. I sent £10 to company's house and I received the company registration, and the company called Vision Communication, and it was registered, and the CEO and the chairman, and the owner and the director. I looked at it and said, great. And then I asked myself, then what do I do? Network marketing is the best place to be. I went to ask those questions. I wasn't there to make money. I was there to learn. I asked people I was meeting there, so how do I get something to sell? He said, go to exhibitions and find something they're selling and become an agent. But I can't. Well, you have a company, the company applies, not to you. Oh, okay. So because I was 16 years old, I can't apply, but the company can apply. And then I can employ a CEO, a manager to go and do the pitch. So employ the manager to go and speak on behalf of the company because CEO can't come. CEO is busy. I'm only 16 years old. So the manager went and bid for Fast Telecom. Fast Telecom was one of the biggest companies selling deregulated telecommunication in the UK. So we can go to companies and tell them we can save them money on their telephone bills. So this guy went, took our company registration. We had an office. By the way, how do we get an office? I read a book. Again, somebody told me, anything you want to do, somebody had written a book on it. So I said, how can I get an office? There was a book, a real estate book, how you get an office or a building for free rent for 6 months. So any building that's under construction, you can go and negotiate some kind of free rent. Point I'm trying to make here, it's not about UK or US. I'm saying everything you want to do,
That's
someone else has written about it. So when we had an office, this guy went negotiate for 20% discount. And we gave our customer 10% discount. We kept 10% for ourselves. We recruited 35 young men to get out there, door knocking. We sell them, just sign up this. We put this phone in your cable. Every call you make, it's 10% cheaper. And at the end of the month, we got paid. My first check, Christine, was £32,000 in commissions. We paid around 20,000 to the salespeople, and I kept £12,000. And I was 16 years old, and I was shaking. I was almost shaking my pants. I'm saying, how am I going to do this? I went to speak to my Ugandan friend. That's why I stopped talking to Ugandans. I asked to my Ugandan friends. I told them, by the way, do you know I'm making so much money? They told me they would deport you if you have that kind of money. So I'm like, excuse me? Remember, anything you want to learn, there's a book on it.
There's a book on it.
And I Googled on how to actually legitimately get your right visa to stay. The information is there. And the information is clear. As long as you don't have a criminal record, meaning you're a good guy. As long as you don't claim benefit, you're not relying on the government to support you. As long as you're paying taxes and you're creating jobs and you're investing more, nobody wants to let that person leave their country. I was like, damn, wow. That's why rule number 1, never ask advice from somebody who does not know what they're talking about. Only qualified people should give you advice. So for those young people concerned about their school, thank God, because you have now a limited way to go. You're in a one-way traffic. There's no way coming back. Giving up is not an option for you. You're going forward. Your job is stand tall, look good, know what you know, document it, or get somebody smart to document it for you, and get smart people to make it happen.
Wow.
It's really simple. Smart people, they want to get paid. The difficult thing, the thing about smart people, they don't ask you in advance if you have the money to pay them. It's called a job.
Yes.
So make sure whatever they do, they can guarantee you they'll be able to turn into money before the month ends. So that you're able to pay.
Okay.
By the way, and even if you don't pay them on time, you can tell them if they see what they did was worthwhile, they'll still wait. Because they the one who created that stuff. If they believed in it, they should wait to get paid, right? So really, it's simple.
You make it sound so simple, Geoffrey.
Because success is a study of the obvious. It's common sense, but do we do it? No.
I like that.
Magic
it's a
things.
study of the obvious.
Lawyer. Yes.
Wow, I love that. It is a study. Now, you mentioned Les Brown, and he says something that you quoted there. He says OQP, only quality people. And I was thinking to ask you, what's the importance of hanging around the right people? And I think you touched that a little. How important is it for me to make sure that I'm right around the right company all the time?
You know, this is a confusing question because today things are completely different. You can't hang around the right people today because it's difficult. The people you can hang around, they're usually lower than you. Okay, so what you need to do, there's 3 types of people.
Okay.
Okay, the one who make you grow as the one that you pay. Okay. A person you don't pay, they don't have no time for you to help you grow.
Okay.
And the person who you want to be, they don't have no time. You have to pay for their time. If you don't, you'd expect the Richard Branson to hang around with you? Really? I mean, seriously? That's living cuckoo land. No, the people you need, you have to pay them or to be part of the mentorship, be part of something they do, or buy their book and write to them and say, I bought your book, it's amazing, it's great, I love it. You know, can you really give me 2 minutes? Just buy something you can afford from them and impress them that you care, you love them. And that's the people who you will learn from. You can't hang around them because the people you hang around with, they usually at the same level as you are.
As you are, yeah. Or lower.
If you didn't pay your way into that group. The other ones are the people going where you're going because you're going there, they're going there. Those are the people assuming they're the one helping you to grow. No. If you're a writer and Michael's a writer and Jennifer's a writer, your bank of losers hang around each other helping to do writing. Okay? So, but hang around those because they remind you the stuff that you're not doing. They will inspire you slightly because somebody say, I wrote 2 chapters, you didn't write anything. I did a Facebook page, you didn't do it. They write you to help you do that.
To keep you.
But it's another type of friend. The one who basically people tell you stay away from them. No, don't. You know, the one they never inspire, the negative ones, the people you should stay away from. No, they're great. They're your customers. They'll buy from you.
Okay.
Don't get rid of them.
Okay.
Everybody is your friend. You just put them in different categories. The one who buys from you, love them. They must say something stupid. Oh, just smile, like them. Oh, you're gonna be my customer. I love you. You know, send them an email. Let them sign up your free stuff. The ones that are like you, the peer groups. Again, spend time with them, but very limited because they live in this thing. Like in the UK, we have these, especially women. You love give yourself awards. You know, I award this, I award that. I mean, sorry, but a bunch of mediocres give each other awards. I mean, I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, they invited me, Jeff, I want to give you an award. For what? Okay, for what? For what? I do this, I love what I do. I love to get a testimony from somebody. Your testimony you send me, I put it everywhere because I love it because you genuinely said something out of blue. I didn't ask for it. I love that. That's worth for me more than some steady award. But anyway, but the people you need to keep your eye on are the people who basically you want to learn from. Those people, we hate them. Well, I don't, but people hate them because they ask them to pay.
Yes.
Okay. For those people, when you go, they say to me, get my book for free. And then you find you need to pay $5 to ship it. And then before you finish, they say to you, buy this little free gift. You know, it was 100, but I'm going to pay 50. And then before you go, you know, if this is 1,000, but this coaching thing, I'm going, oh, before you finish, you spend $2,000 with them in this. And people hate them because they just sell. That's what you should do. If you're not selling anything, please don't go to church blaming God for not having any money. And if you don't ask help, it's never going to happen. People, honestly, Christine, if you don't tell people you charge, they actually think you're free.
They think there's no value. I'll tell you this. I've given copies of my book to family members. They've never even opened the book. It's very painful. You're giving this book to somebody as a gift. They don't even open it. So people only appreciate the things that they have paid for. So you're making a very, very good point. Now, believe it or not, our time is almost up.
Yeah,
We have to do this again. We obviously have to do this again. But I wanted, before we go, for you to give us 3 actionable points. We are obviously going to have to do this again. I haven't even gone through my questions, but I'm thinking, give us 3 actionable points to position, package, and promote myself for the post-COVID era. 3 actionable steps.
It might sound almost complicated, but it's not complicated. Write a book. Okay, I mean, I don't care whether it's 200 pages or 50 pages, but it should have a format of a book. Why? Because when you write that book, you have to think through certain thing that helps you to actually be in a position to know who you are, to have one message that you communicate. If you don't have a message structured in a framework allows you to communicate all the time, you're always going to say something different every time. And when you're not consistent, people cannot give you the opportunity because you keep changing every time. You're like a chameleon. They don't know what you're going to say today. When people know what you're going to say, they stick to that. If I employ Les Brown to come and speak and it doesn't tell the radio show story, I don't pay him. Okay? That's the only reason he gets paid. So that story, that's the only thing. So you need to have some clearly tell your story in the same way. If you listen to me 15 years ago, I told you I was fixing cars at 11 years old. It doesn't change. It's the same. Okay, so first of all, document a book. If you can talk, I don't tell you I can't write. If you can talk, you can write. Anybody can talk. That can be transcribed and give somebody to help you turn into a document and say, I've written a book. By the way, let me say this. If you have not written a book, you're not even allowed to have a job. Because we don't do CVs anymore. How dare you go and spend years in university and you leave a document over 300-400 pages at the university.
University library, yes.
Document, and you give it to a professor, never give you a job. And then you go to somebody gonna give you a job to feed your family and you give him 2 pages. Call a CV. Are you nuts? You need to give him a book. Okay? It's the book, it's the business cards of today. We give them away as business card, number 1. Number 2, teach everything in that book for free to people around the world. And the point you made that it hurts you when you give somebody a book and doesn't read. No, it shouldn't. Love it. Just make you tell.
I was saying if you give it for free, they don't value it even. They don't value it.
I'm coming. So I never give anything away for free if I'm not benefiting from it. I'm giving you nothing, Christine, if I'm not getting anything out of it. So if I give Christine a book, guess what? I'm going to tell the world I gave Christine a book. Whether you don't like it or like it. If I'm not benefiting from that, I'm not giving to you. I'm only giving the book to somebody who they're either going to read it or I'm going to tell the world that I gave you the book. So the world thinking I'm a good guy. Either way, I'm adding value to myself. So teach everything in that book using social media. You should never be on Facebook posting other people's stuff without posting yours. If you send me a request and I go to your page and all I find is sharing stuff, I basically don't care to accept you. Secondly, if you're my friend and send me this forwarding thing on WhatsApp, rubbish stuff you don't say, I basically block you. I don't have no time for that. I'm looking for friends and looking for people going to add value to me. So you say something, but when you don't have a document, you have nothing to say. Now, thirdly, ask people to give you the opportunity to teach them something for the purpose of letting them pay you for it. Don't ask for payment up front. Just tell them, I've written a document, I've got a document. This is what I teach for free. Go and have a look at it. And I want you to try me out for free for the next 30 days. If you like me, we stick together. If you don't, that's okay. Now, even if they say no, that's fine. It helps you to grow. If you took that attitude, it means you're going to go to any company and say to these companies, I'm here to work for you for free, but every increase in revenue, I get 10% of that, 20% of that. They give you the facilities to work for them, increase their sales, and they pay you using their facilities. And even if they don't pay you, you can tell the world you help in that company become profitable.
Are you then saying that everybody can become a trainer? Is that what you're saying, Geoffrey?
And teaching is marketing. It's not a trainer. Okay. Teaching is marketing. A person who does not teach a customer what they do, how they do it, what made them different, they will not be in business for long.
All right. I wanted this conversation to be very practical. Now, I want you to take especially the third one of being able to teach your material. Let's apply this to our accountant. Remember our finance person? Sure. What you are that finance person, you're trying to survive post-COVID. What would you do?
Your number one thing to teach the customers or your potential customers on a weekly basis, if you're aggressive, exactly what you do for them. Okay. Give them tips and advice where actually giving your best tips. Give them tips that actually you think that they actually will go on to do it themselves without coming to you. Because I tell you something, people think people will go to someone else. No, you're the first person who told them they come to you, most importantly. And secondly, even if they try to go to someone else, they're going to find out the other person cannot provide what you provide. They'll come back to you. So you're actually defending yourself so that they don't go somewhere else. If you don't tell them, they're going to come back and they think the other person knows more than you do when actually they don't.
All right. All right.
Sorry, my darling. You're going to drop that light, my darling. Okay. Sorry, somebody just did something. I apologize.
No problem. No problem.
So basically what happens is that practicality for the accountant, he or she must write out, if he's aggressive, if they're Christian sort of an accountant, he or she needs to write 52 emails educating a customer about what they do. And that email is automated to go out every single week in somebody's inbox every single week about that. You can pay somebody very small money to write you an email, 52 emails, give them the tips, and the customer that email to meet the requirement of the day. By the way, every single day there's something happened today if you Google.
Yes.
So if you can take that email, attach to what happened today and send it out, it's automated. It goes out without doing anything. The customer always remember you because people only buy when they're ready, not when you want to sell to them. So it's not about being in the right place at the right time. It's being in the right place all the time. So when they're ready, they remember you. So when people don't educate people, education does not mean speaking. It could be writing, it could be video, it could be audio, it could be anything, but make sure you send people content. But send them content that is useful. People in Africa have this view that I have to send a 5-second video, or because people don't have time to read. Listen, those people have no time, they'll never buy from you anyway. My darling, if I'm looking to learn how to edit a video, I can't learn in 2 seconds.
In 2 minutes, yes, you cannot.
If I'm looking. People want to entertain, people are never going to buy from them. Out of 100 people follows you, only 5 will. Only 2 will pay. So why trying to entertain the 97? So you say whatever you want to say until it's finished. Don't stop. Whether 10 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour. As long as you know you get people value, because what sells is not them, it's not the message, it's what you say. You can say and say, listen, when I give you my time, I give it, there's no limit. If they saw you speaking for an hour, they're thinking, I trust him, I believe him. Otherwise, when you start to worry that, oh, when half an hour goes up, they're gonna cut off the phone and charge them extra, they can't work with you, especially in Africa when people are learning to do so. But one thing, my darling, people have learned now, this COVID, they now know that remote training is normal. Remote thinking is normal. You can do business with someone around the world now. I see so many people doing courses from overseas, from home. Now this concept, this thing now is normal. You don't have a challenge. People now signing documents via software. People now sending information through this kind of medium. So if that accountant has not really understood 52 emails, send them out. And out of those 52 emails, do one when you actually, I think 12 videos, which is 12 months. One video saying something, because you know when you don't talk, people know anybody can write something, or anybody can pay someone to write something. But when they hear you talk, Christine, now either they like you or they don't like you. You'd rather find out they don't like you before you waste your time to see them anyway. Okay, let them like you first.
Yes.
If they don't waste your time. So those 12 videos you talking, again, doesn't have to be 5 minutes, don't have to be 100, can be 2 minutes, can be 2 seconds, doesn't matter. They want to hear you talk. And be happy with your voice, be happy with who you are. Don't worry about technology, just put a camera and basically talk. And the final part, let them know that every month, every end of the month, you make an offer to them. You tell them, they've been receiving 4 emails in the last 4 weeks, they receive 1 video, and at the end of it, you're going to say, by the way, we have some space, we're taking 2 clients for the first, 30 days for free. You come in, we teach you, we advise you, we give you some free content. We want you to add on to your list as we are your accountant. Teach them why they should have you as the accountant. If you're the one who makes the most noise, everybody wants to be, want you to be their accountant if you're the one who seems to be more famous. But if nobody knows you and you keep yourself quiet, nobody knows what you do, nobody wants to see your name on their business card, on their letterheads, because you're nobody. So raise your profile, raise your stock value. People will come to you.
Okay. Wow, that's brilliant. I like to think of my sessions as learning aloud because I'm sure I've learned more than anybody else through this session. Thank you so much. Now, I've just signed up for your coaching session. I'd like you to share with my audience about your 21-day coaching session. Somebody will be interested in this and they'll be able to develop themselves. Geoffrey, if you can please tell us about it.
You mean my coaching?
Yes, your coaching. Yes.
No, what I've decided nowadays is that I'm so busy. So right now I offer an hour on the call to have a conversation with someone instead of before we're wasting each other's time, because I want them to know a little bit about me, but also I want to know more about them. And then from there, I give them some free stuff. And then they have to listen, I'm too old now to take on anybody. Yes. But I take on people who fail the most, or people who are seriously aggressive about building something big. But also I know I have tools for people who are starting. I have tools people who basically can't afford to pay. I have tools people can't afford to pay. Right now in Africa, I'm targeting the people who are responsible for how African is. We call them the endangered species. People over 50 years old, they're very few on the continent. They have wisdom and knowledge, but they're actually so uninformed about their responsibilities. They think the world owes them anything. Now, I'm attacking those people telling you better tell us where you come from, what you do, because Africa is losing out because you are not there to inspire our people. That's the number one person I'm going for. So you go to teachyourstory.com, and there I have a link. I think I've created a couple of days ago. That in there's a link to make an appointment on my calendar for me to have an hour with you. That 1 hour is really what I'm interested in, to get to know you, get to know me. And then from there, we can decide where we go. It's no obligation. You don't have to pay me anything, but I'll put 1 hour for me to give you some ideas to see, because this is not one fit for all. Some people have different issues. Some people are completely, despite the fact I can be aggressive, they don't know where to start. They deserve a chance to be helped. So the answer is, before you go into the coaching program, we have to get this conversation, because I'm only looking for a specific person. But by the way, it doesn't mean you have to be over 50. I'm coaching a 10-year-old who basically really blew my mind when he basically told me he's told what he wants to do. I'm like, you know what? You might be somebody I want to say I was there. So, it's really, there's no age is not an issue. But for parents, I'll say this to you. If it's too late for you, don't let it be too late for your children, because they're going to be in the world that you have really no clue. Artificial intelligence, automation, global structures, this robots are basically taking every single job you can imagine. The only thing a machine can do, it cannot communicate, can't think, it can't solve problems basically fast. It has to be programmed. You are that thing. So you better get on and do it. And for you to say it's not here in Africa, fortunes are going to be made here in Africa because everything is not here.
Very true. It's a very beautiful time to be alive in Africa at this point. There's a lot of opportunities here. So thank you so much for all of this. Any closing comments? I think we can leave it there, but I can promise that we are going to do this again, because Geoffrey is he's just a fountain of information, and he really wakes my mind up whenever I talk with him.
Christine, I thank you so much for us to connect again. My interest is more or less you, because for me, I focus on that one person. You represent too many people around. So if you can basically help each other to empower each other, then for me, we're reaching more. I used to like to be in the background, but now I realize that it doesn't help as much, because some people want to see you as much. But my message is, if we can basically get your programs and help as many people, I'm as excited as anything else. And for you out there, I'm talking to you as if I'm talking to Christine. You be that person. You use Christine to help you to do exactly what she's doing. There's one thing I know about this lady. She's always been doing it, and she's still doing it. So, all you can do is keep going. Giving up is not an option. And also, not being a leader in your field, it's criminal.
All right. Thank you so much. I think I'll leave it right there. Not to be a leader in my field is criminal. Thank you so much, Geoffrey, for your time.
Take care, darling.
All right. Bye.